Sino da 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 mo. And we continue our Sino da 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 with the second seasons, because for one reason or another they tend to air the most either in winter or in autumn. This time we're talking about the not-so-serious anime, that they're good nonetheless. The first one is by The Grace of God Season 2, or as I like to call it, Slime Punk, because our main protagonist is doing just wonders of technology with these little guys, and yes, that's what I would take from it to my own settings. Unfortunately, there's not much else to say about this anime otherwise. You know, I once believed, no, that's not right. Back in the day, genres were mostly static, if you get my drift. The ingredients changed, but the core of an action or a comedy remained mostly the same. But as time went on, people experimented on various stuff, blurring the lines between the genres more and more and more, and so what we have today is that a lot of entertainment is less defined and more of a spectrum, and many previously defined genres lost their right to be called as such, for a lack of a better term. Like, take the isekai. Back in the day, it was mostly a well-defined genre, I'd say, but with many iterations, the core of the isekai is still there. For an isekai, you need to have a person from our world going into another, but it's not really that needed, and many a times it's only there for, I guess, marketing purposes. Why am I talking about this? Well, you remember my rant about power fantasy and Eminence of Shadow? That anime was the peak power fantasy of people who want more power and have ways to use this power for better or worse, right? Anime like I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level represented the other side of this graph, the slow life anime, where they have the power, but they don't really want to do anything with it outside of living a comfortable life with laziness. Now, the amount of action is where my spectrum theory comes into play. The killing slimes anime, though not comparing in the amount of action to Eminence, still has more than enough of it. But the Grace of Gods also has action, but has less of it than killing slimes, to the point where it's negligible at best. I'd say it also fulfills a power fantasy of a bit different sort than ultimate power and ultimate tranquility, that of the ultimate comfort, where you have a small business and you're surrounded by people who like and support you, and things generally go okay. If you're in the mood for that sort of thing, I'd say give this anime a go. Otherwise, there's not much point in watching it, as barely anything happens in it. And speaking of barely anything happening, BOFURI! BOFURI Season 2. This was probably the first time I legitimately wanted to watch a video of somebody else talking about the show, because what do you even say about BOFURI Season 2? I sure as fuck can't think of anything worthy to say of it, and I've watched through all of it. The story continues to be the same, basically. There's this game called New World Online, a title many people would consider to be the most generic shit they've heard in a while, but nah, if anything, that's realistic of Asian MMO naming conventions. Heck, I kinda wonder why nobody decided to call their game the online game and just be done with it. Our protagonist has a character named Maple who maxed out her defense and nothing but defense, and we're watching her and her gaggle of friends just play the game and enjoy it for what it is. So I guess for MMO players this anime constitutes as a horror title as well. And that's really fucking it. At the very least, the first season had, you know, some grand obstacle in the grand PvP tournament they had. This one doesn't even have that. They just play the game and enjoy it. In fact, it has so little substance to talk about that while watching it, I started to notice that NVO as a game is actually a fairly good MMO. It delivers new and unique content regularly, interacts with players by giving them grand events, it doesn't ignore the old zones, updating them with new features as well, and the whole virtual reality aspect to it is the only thing that I'm kinda iffy about. The gear for playing VR is a headset and a glove, so I assume most of the control functions are done via brainwaves and all. Fair enough. But throughout the show, we've seen not only the devs modeling the insides of the monsters, but also players realistically reacting to status effects. How does this work, and how can it be exploited by players? Do players really feel pain when receiving damage? When receiving a status debuff like sleep, does the brain just automatically shuts down into sleep mode? What else have the devs realistically modeled? Does the game have a steady and healthy community of war fetishists, or monsters that latch onto the player's model, merging with it? And we're not going to go into the more insidious gamer practices, like having an item black market or trading player characters between each other. Holy fucking shit, that was the most nitpickiest I've been in a while, but that's kind of the problem with discussing this show. There's just nothing do it. People's wording about the show will inevitably be the same. The only difference would be in whether or not it's a positive or negative spin. It'll either be, when watching this anime, it was like a cuteness nirvana where I just watched these girls doing fun and exciting things. Or it's as if I watched this anime on autopilot and was just waiting through whatever the anime decided to do that time. And it's not a Tesla. There was no babies crushed by cars.